Welcome back. Yes, we are focusing on politics, and we're joined this morning by Mr. Wole Adebayo, the presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party. Good morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, Chamberlain. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Well, just looking through some of the headlines where the Speaker of the House of Representatives was saying that, look, Nigeria we're in dire need of credible leaders. But perhaps you could connect that to how your campaign is going on at the moment in terms of, do you see, if we could take it from his own statement, first of all, is there an opportunity here for young people, either in terms of participation, those who are in the thick of things, or is it such that, well, much as that statement may resonate across the country, but it's still a long way off for us to get to where we, at least closer to where we ought to be, for lots of credible young people taking their place, their pride of place in the scheme of things?
Well, the Speaker is right that those of them who are there, they are not the right leadership. That even
He said those who are there. Not
that's the implication. When you sitting down here and say what this station needs is a credible presenter, you're already here. So the same thing was what the Senate President said a while ago, that Nigeria has lacked credible leadership. And you will see that the presidential candidate of even of the ruling party says that they've come to rescue Nigeria, even though they are the one in government. What we are all saying, consciously and subconsciously, is that we cannot negate the evidence, which is apparent on the street, that we're not doing well as a country. And everything that we need to do well is available except the leadership. Therefore, we are acknowledging the scientific reality that words are not enough. For every of the problems that we have in Nigeria, we have to make decisions and we have to take actions. So whether we say there should be opportunities for young people, there are enough young people who are good. I believe one or two of the old people are also still redeemably good. But when it comes to decision time, it's not the time for lamentation. If you are a young person and you feel that you are credible, you have solutions to the problem, you come forward and present them to the public. Despite criticism, skepticism, cynicism, you come out and be tenacious and present it. The voters are not as powerless as they are made to believe, because all you need to do is to pay attention to the issues, try to identify the candidates not just by name or face or by the logo of their party, to try to know what they stand for. So when I was growing up, I knew that Azikiwe stood for national unity. I knew Adewole had his 4 cardinal points. I knew that Shagari was one nation, one destiny. I knew that Tunji Braithwaite was about corruption and the people you call rats and cockroaches were eating into the fabric of the country. I knew Waziri was for politics without bitterness. So you will know what every person stands for, and then you would go and vote accordingly. There's nothing mysterious or complicated in all of these things. So we need to realize where we are, know the implication of remaining on this spot, because in science, it is not possible for you to be on the same spot. If you don't move forward, you have to move backward. And when people come out, you have to take a decision, personal decision, whether to support them or not support them.
When you say the voters are not as powerful,
are powerless,
are not as powerless as they may believe or they're made to believe.
Yes.
Is that coming from before you got into the fray as a candidate, or is it underscored all the more by what you have seen, and how so?
I've seen it in my interaction with people in politics. I interact with the people, and I see that the people know what is right. And sometimes they don't want to make the sacrifice that is required. They will tell you, I'm hungry, I don't have money, things like that. But in other decisions of their life, they're able to take very good decisions despite being hungry. Even when they are hungry or tired, they still go to church. Even when they want to, those who are Muslims, however poor they are, they still save little by little to go to Mecca. Those who are who have families still are committed to it. If a relative dies and somewhere in the village, they will still manage to get there. So the poverty or whatever they are claiming is not affecting many of the things they do. I think it's because historically many of us grew up in an environment where politics was not well interpreted. We were under the military. And they just see this voting as maybe just another unimportant event. So as we make it clear to the people, it becomes clearer that the pathway to having a good country of their dream is actually participatory politics. And when I was running for primaries of my party, I was, some were even laughing, like, how is he going to do it? And there are big people in the party, there are strong people in the party, there are external forces outside the party who have invested in the party for some time, and they see the party as their backyard. So how are you going to break through all of this? But when I started interacting with the common people, but there are people who came all the way from Yobe State, taking transport, disjointed transport, staying, get to Kano, then come here, and then slept on the street just to be able to cast that vote. When I was sitting down, they were coming to say, I cast my vote for you, I told you. You know, so I see that they're not as powerless. And the entire Edo State delegation had nowhere to sleep. They were sleeping openly in my compound outside, hoping that it did not rain. So I think that people can make the sacrifice. And I've seen people making posters, making drawings of my image and all of that. So I think that if the leaders invest more in talking to the people, not creating razzmatazz, to attract them like you're doing a crusade or magic wand somewhere. If you're not doing that, if you're actually having the time to invest in talking to people, I think that we will be able to get it right.
That is connected to vote buying. Now, INEC has said time and again that that is one key area that they want to stamp out. As a matter of fact, they're going on the National Assembly that now I think they've gone really far with setting up electoral offences tribunal to prosecute electoral offenders, of which vote buying is a huge electoral offence. So from what you've seen, how big a challenge or how close or far are we to addressing that huge question of vote buying at all levels of our politics?
You see, the problem of Nigeria is not that we are sinners. As God can forgive us for that. It is that we are hypocrites. God can't help hypocrites. Majority of the people in the National Assembly are vote buyers, even though they are passing the law against vote buying. And they are desperately looking for money everywhere to buy votes. Vote buying is a simple decision. It's easier to come from the buyer side because the buyers are fewer. In the Social Democratic Party, there's not one single vote buyer there. If there's a single vote buyer, let us know, we will expel him from our party. That's clear. And there are 18 political parties. So all you need...
Why is that? Is it because the stakes are not as high as
no, because
other political parties?
the principle is higher. In Ekiti, if we just brought a little money, we will defeat everybody. But we just got the number of votes we could get, honestly. And we came second, according to what INEC said. And then the other person brought like 99% of their votes. So what I'm saying is that it's not everything that you are powerless enough. How can I, if I'm a habitual late comer to your studio, why do I have to pass a law against late coming or late arrival when I can just stop the habit? Majority of the offices being contested are legislative offices, if you look at it. And there are only 18 people running for president now, for example. So maybe those who are trying to buy vote, about 3 or 4 of them. The rest don't think like it. Even if they were to dream that bad dream, they don't have resources to do anything about that. So then you look at the senatorial candidates, House of Assembly candidates, House of Reps candidates, governorship candidates. You can stop vote buying. And every political party can say, we will expel our member, but who engages in vote buying. But many of the candidates, or some of the candidates that you see today, did vote buying during the primary in their party. So it is difficult to just make us believe that this is an offense like a strange offense. It's an offense that can only be committed by the political class. And the same political class is the one passing the law that they know they are going to disobey. So I think that the first thing we need to do is to take a moral challenge to these candidates. SERAP asked us to sign an undertaking against vote buying. And I think that they should make a ceremony out of that and let it be part of the requirement. But from the point of view of INEC.
Sorry, how's that going to work if you sign an agreement against vote buying? Because if whoever you catch can disclaim, or any party can disown anyone who claims to be associated or doing it on behalf of any political party.
You see, what I see is that every agent now has a name.
They have tags and IDs.
Tag name, so you know. Those who did vote buying in Ekiti, I know them. We know them. We know them by name. So the videos are there. INEC knows.
Are they being prosecuted?
Well, I have not seen any sign of that. So, and those who did before. So what I'm saying, generally speaking, is that there is a need in this country to call out people who do what is wrong, not just hide over a law that you know you are not going to implement. Secondly, we need to make it impossible for it to happen. And those who are in the media also should emphasize that. When you are, like when they were reporting in Ekiti, some emphasized that the vote buying was happening. And I think the same thing with the police. They will talk and talk, but they will say, we were asked to go and maintain law and order. We were not asked to come and apprehend vote buyers. The EFCC, they have very few staff relative to the general election population. So they probably will send one person in a
So what do you think should happen on election day to address this?
Before election day is where it should start. Now,
okay.
It should start by identifying those who have tendency to buy votes and to constantly get candidates and their parties to keep undergoing different procedures, whether the media will say, come and talk about vote buying and now you will not do it. There should be town hall dealing with it. INEC should call us to come. The Peace Committee should call on that one. SERAP, everybody. So we must continue to say vote buying is a problem and get people through that process of not de-emphasizing it. Secondly, on the election day, we have advised INEC that the architecture of the polling place should be that the voters should be out of sight and out of hearing. And
out of sight and out of hearing.
Yes. If where we are seated is where the polling place is, there should be nobody who can speak from around or see what the voter is doing. Right now,
the open secret ballot system.
No, what it means is this: when you go for accreditation and you are being given your ballot paper, everybody can see you, but you must walk up to 30 or 40 paces to a corner to go and vote. In Ekiti, what I observed was that the APC was the chief buyer, PDP bought some as well. As they were buying, they were following the voter to say number five, put it, for number 5. In some cases, they would negotiate and they would ask the voter to vote. The voter would display that he has voted for them, then go outside to collect the money. In some unfortunate instances, around Oye and Adewole, around Wiz Palace there, the policemen will be the middleman who would do thumbs up if the person votes for you and thumbs down if the person actually didn't vote for you. All of these things will inform INEC. So it is possible that you can do that mediation. Then the last part is to try to talk to people who would not even offer their vote for sale.
Now, concerning your campaign as the candidate, how is that coming on? Because you have a huge task ahead of you because you're going against parties that have got a huge war chest to deploy for these elections.
I'm not too worried about their war chest. Most of their money will be lost through their members defrauding them and all of that. The most important challenge is communicating through to the people because our people are in diverse locations. And one can get easily carried away. If you are a darling of the press, you come here, it's a very nice show and everything. But you find out that there are over 10,000 radio stations that people listen to as well. There are villages where they don't even have electricity and not enough money to buy battery. So you rely more on what the local person who hasn't seen you in 6 months is saying on your behalf. So it is that grassroots work is there. And so there are 3 levels. You first want to create awareness of your candidature to people know you and they can recognize what you stand for. Second, you get a clear understanding of your difference between you and the other persons for them to know you ideologically, not just know you by identity. Third, to have a commitment where they can become surrogates. So that's what I'm focused on. All this money they are spending, most of it is to hire jets and fly all over the place or to do fanciful advertising that doesn't make anything. That is why in the end, they go and do vote buying after wasting so much money on fanfare and discover that their message is not penetrating. So they just say, okay, let's just buy some quantity of voters and we'll win the election. But what I'm looking at is the cynicism of Nigerian people. First, that they're tired. They think all politicians are the same. So that's the greatest challenge. I talk to them and they say, how do we know? I trek 10,000 kilometers for Buhari. The guy is a disaster. So how do I know you are different? This and that. So it's to get that message across, that's to penetrate the soul of the people. Secondly, the poverty and suffering is too much. I was to do a program in Jigawa State. I had to abandon it because I had to spend my time now to go and deal with people who are victims of floods. People who are farmland flooded, household flooded, street flooded. So we need to go there. So people, for a politician, your aim is to win election, and that's what you're focused on. But for the people, they are focused on a lot of things. People dying in the hospital, people not having food. So when you combine all of this together, those are the challenges. I'm not worried about they've lost credibility and they are not likely to win the election at all.
All right. My colleagues have got questions for you.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. Well, Mr. Adebayo, there are those who believe that it is a stock in trade of politicians to discredit other political parties, other contestants, their opponents whatsoever. So why should the Nigerian believe you over those people that you are discrediting, so to speak? After all, you're a politician as well.
I don't know. I'm not discrediting anyone. If it's raining and we're getting wet, I'm entitled to say it's raining. So what I'm saying, there's nothing I'm saying which Nigerians don't know. The hunger is not in my stomach. The blackout is not in my house. The children who are out of the university and people's children. So the inflation in the marketplace is the inflation for everyone. In Ekiti State, I'm not from Ekiti State. You see how people are not happy there. You have even your reporters. I've met them. I think even Sheung had a station in Ado Ekiti where he was broadcasting. So you know that everything I'm saying happened there. Evidence of it is before the tribunal. Everybody's talking about it. Even when I was in America, the Americans, both the Republicans and Democrats side, agreed that there was vote buying in Ekiti. INEC admitted it. There's nothing I'm saying. One cannot be a politician who beats his case on the discrediting of the other person. No, even if you discredit 4 people that in the presidential election, there are still about 13 others you still have to run against. So that's not the issue. The most important thing is to learn to get used to the truth in this country so that we can have some credibility when we talk, so that people can listen to you and say, this person knows the message of what is happening.
But
the issue without truth, you cannot do justice.
Yeah. The issue then again on the same issue, on the same subject matter is the same thing the current government said and the government before that. Every government, whether it's state government or federal government, they're always out to say, look, these people are not doing this right, we can do it better. Again, I ask, why should people believe you? What's your own strategy and how is it going to be different from what the people who are in government or in power or in positions of authority right now are doing?
First, the differences between us now is what you should focus on, because that will indicate to you the differences that will be between our governance and their governance. You see how we run our campaign. Always saying the truth. Always be modest. You cannot see around us a sign that we are spending money lavishly, that we're going to be a wasteful government when we get there. You cannot see us running away from questions, dodging, hiding, and sending surrogates to answer questions, not committing to process, not coming up, not showing up. You can't see us surrounded by those who have been causing the problems of the country. People make reference to 2015 and how President Buhari has failed spectacularly compared to what he promised. Three things I always tell people which are true. One, you can quote President Buhari, can go and do your research. He never promised anything concrete. It was always top to bottom, and things like that. And vote APC, and walk away. So it is people, other people, who took upon themselves to describe him as an angel from above and all of that. In our case, we speak for ourselves, we talk, and we speak to ourselves. And if you notice, they started with the same pattern now. The candidates themselves are not speaking. It is just people speaking on their behalf. Second, you will not see us running a very expensive campaign, collecting money from people who are committed to the status quo. You don't see us breaking the bank. We're doing what is proper, what needs to be done. Three, we're not giving you promises, because promises can fail. We're giving you plans. For example, on our plan towards saying farewell to poverty, I've given 5 planks on which farewell to poverty is possible. One, that we need to invest in basic needs of the people: food, housing, education, healthcare, and creating jobs for people. If you were able to do those 5 things, you would reduce poverty drastically. In a few months, you will start to see the result of nutritional improvement. You will start to see in a year or so, you start to see
Mr. Adebayo, your sincerity may not be in doubt, and I'm sure some who are watching you right now will also, you know, derive some form of confidence in your competence to deliver should you be elected. And just to go back on a few things that you said earlier about how, you know, the politicians who are positioning also for the job will have their money spent by their supporters without voting for them. But for you, what do you think, you know, of yourself, self-assess yourself? What are your chances of winning?
My chances of winning is proportionate to the amount of work I do. There are 176,180 polling units. So we've covered about maybe 45% now. So we're working on that. That is where the solution lies. These voters are sitting where they are. They live there. We need to get there. We need to see people working on them. We need to get input from them as well. That is the job, because the country,
to cover the length and breadth.
It's a vast country. It's a very small country. I've lived in bigger countries before.
Pardon me. So if you're unable to cover the length and breadth of Nigeria in your campaigns, you don't honestly think that you can win the presidential election?
Nobody can be president of Nigeria honestly without fraud if he does not have agents, boots on the ground, canvassers, supporters in each of the 186,180 polling units. In the past, people could sit in Asaba.
That's
Concord figures.
That's an interesting commentary.
Could sit in Akure.
That's an interesting commentary there, Mr. Adebayo. And the reason I asked those first 2 questions is simply this. I've heard you say in other fora that Nigeria is not ready for alliances, but we saw an alliance sail through in 2014, which led to the victory of the All Progressives Congress in 2015. So some would ask, what are smaller parties like yours, pardon my expression, and you can contest that, doing when they can, you know, align with other political parties and form a formidable third force, such that they can defeat the establishment if they're really serious about winning the presidential election?
There's a difference between a political alliance and a conspiracy to grab power. What happened in APC was a conspiracy to grab power. There was no political alliance. It was not ideological. It was just new PDP, those who were not happy with President Jonathan, joining with Alliance for Democracy, ACN, joining with CPC, and grabbing power. We can't do that now because we see the outcome of what they did. Presidency is not divisible. If everyone comes together only one of you is going to be the president. And that person will exercise all the powers. So it must be someone you trust, someone whose ideology you believe in, someone whose government you can defend. You are not going to come out and say, I was misled. So what we are working on now, every day we talk, whether it's Showore, whether it's Kachiku, whether it's Al Mustafa, whether it's Adu Ibrahim, whether it's Osakwe, whether it's Umeadi, we are all talking. It's Yaba Jisoni, we are talking. What we are talking is to try to find ideological convergence. I'd rather run an election honestly, win the election and govern well, or lose the election and go back to my work as a lawyer, than escort an incompetent person to power in the hope that the alliance will find me a space in government. Right. Because what is important is that the alliance works not only when you win election. It works when the ideas that you had that brought you to politics are being implemented faithfully in government.
We need to wind down on this one. So what are you doing, or what is your party doing about reconciling the aggrieved members?
That's what I've been doing for the past, you saw, I don't know if it was noticed.
Cases are still in court.
Yeah, but you see, you saw the September 29 meeting in Lagos, where all the factions came together.
But some were not present. Was Chief Shugbo Shashiri present?
No, Shonibare.
Sorry.
Shonibare was the chairman on that day. Okay. The meeting was held in Ikeja.
Has he withdrawn the cases in court?
No, the cases in court will take time to withdraw. That's not the problem. The cases didn't file themselves in court. What matters is that the disagreements, it wasn't as if everybody was satisfied, but everybody came together and realized that the disagreements they had, some were individualistic, some were not as important as the task before the party now. So we are united. Everybody's working. So you cannot go to Shonibare's house now and say, who's your president candidate? We'll say, it's me. He's supporting all the candidates of the party. The same thing with Senator Ikeja, who was supposed to be the presidential candidate on the other side, is working for me, supporting me. All the people who ran against me, my campaign Deputy Director General is Okuno Lamidi, Kadija Okuno Lamidi. So we don't have a problem with unity of the party. Well, we know that what we need now is the unity of the country, to get everybody together around the idea of farewell to poverty and insecurity, and getting everybody to implement the manifesto of the SDP and Chapter 2 of the Nigerian Constitution, fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy, and run a social democratic government for the people of Nigeria.
We know it's a pretty long campaign, so we'll have a lot of time to talk about your manifesto or what you intend to do much later. Yeah. But for now, I have to thank you for coming on and wish you all the best.
It's been a great pleasure. God bless Nigeria. Happy independence to Nigerian people.
All right. We will be back in a moment. Stay with us.